T-Velly Show.
Well, welcome to the T-Velly Show. I am your host. I'm the host. I'm Tanisha R. Atkins, also known as T-Velly the Great, which is what I call myself anyway. It's okay if you don't call me that. I'll call myself that.
She is great. She deserves to be called that.
Wait a minute, I'll take that. And you are today, like I said, I'm excited today because I have with me Dr.Teandra Gordon. I want y'all to show her some love, some mad love today. She is here. Are you excited?
I am so excited.
I am too. It's like, I'm telling her like I told Deidre last week. Everybody is somebody here on the T-Velly Show, so you may think you're just a regular person for those, but you're a celebrity when you come here, okay? So she is my celebrity co-host today, Dr. Teandra Gordon. You're still there. They just have that.
I had a welcome sign and everything. I felt really important.
Yes, because that's what we are. We're all here. We are all somebody here. Yes. So we're going to ask those of you that will to go ahead and share it on your wall, on your pages, and before we kind of dive into this is round 3 of the M.A.D campaign, which I'll tell you all about in a little bit. But before we do that, I'm going to let Dr. Teandra go ahead and introduce herself and tell you who she is and what she does.
Hi everybody, my name is Dr. Teandra Gordon. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I'm just very passionate about helping individuals and families to overcome hurt and pain and just be who God has called them to be. So I am married and I have 4 beautiful and amazing children. My husband's name is Brian and my kids are Brian. My oldest son is Brian, he's 13. Tiara is 11, Taylor is 6, and Brielle is 4. So that's me and that's my crew. And so I'm just excited to be here. I recently wrote a book that'll be coming out soon. It's called Purposeful Parenting. So, when it comes out, then I'll come back.
Oh, absolutely. You see, Dollar, that's how you do it.
I'm just saying,
she can come back for sure. Excuse me, I'm definitely excited about that. Now, along with being a family therapist, let me tell you how me and Teandra are connected. Yes, she's also a wonderful, talented actress, and she and I, she's like, oh God, people are going to call me now. But I
love acting.
Oh, good.
I want somebody to call me.
Good.
Yes, call me.
So she and I, we got connected through the theater world, and also we were a member of the same church, and we were in the youth ministry together, and so that is how we got so familiar with each other, and that's how we got connected. And me, when you have like spirits, I connect with you right away, and she definitely has a sweet spirit, and we just clicked like that, and so that is pretty much how I got so familiar with Teandra. Now, I wanted to ask you.
Can I just say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
You and Patrina, I just love y'all so much. I never thought about acting, and you guys are so talented. Y'all just wrote the most amazing, beautiful plays, and I just had so much fun acting in it. That was so fun. So y'all ignited a passion in me that I didn't even know was there. No,
I never, because I'm telling you, she was like a natural. And I know Patrina would say the same thing. Like, who knew? At that time we weren't doing any acting classes. We were just ambitious. We wrote a play, wanted to do it. We were pulling on people in the church, and she was like, I'll do it.
Yes.
And every role that she's done, I mean,
so awesome. I love it.
I'm looking like, is that Teandra? Because she gets up there, and I'm telling you.
Remember when I cried? I forgot the name of the show, but I was like the older sibling in the prodigal daughter.
She did. Oh my God. I forgot about that.
Girl, don't forget about it.
I just, because that's how good she is, I forgot that it was Teandra. Because your character's name was Patience.
Yeah.
You see, I didn't remember that. She's good, y'all. I'm telling you. But I wanted to ask you also, because I know that you're into family therapy, and one of the things that I'm seeing more of now is that people are really gravitating towards counseling and therapy. And back in the day, like, you didn't hear of it so much because it's like people were maybe ashamed to say that they needed therapy. What do you think, like, has transitioned between now and then? Why are people like so quick to say, hey, I need to talk to a therapist? Because that's what I'm kind of seeing now.
Right, that's a good question. I think that back in the day, like, it was like, if you go to therapy, then that means you're not dependent on God in some ways. Like, you either go to the pastor or like nothing. And I think that now people are saying that you can do both. You can be a Christian and you can go to somebody who's trained to help you through the difficult times. And I always tell people, like, therapy is for everybody because we all go through difficult times. And as a therapist, I know that I really love people and I really want to help them. And like all of the majority of the therapists that I know have the same kind of heart. So who wouldn't want to go sit down with someone who's trained, who's educated, and who also has a love and compassion for them and wants to help them through those difficult times?
You know, I think sometimes that a lot of families, I see this happening a lot. People go through tragic events and stuff like that, and you assume that they're okay, and so we don't get them that help and that counseling that they need. And I think that we have to stop doing that. You know, you need to get that out because the more you have it in, it creates things. You know, bitterness and anger and frustration and sadness and depression. And so, you know, I'm happy to see that therapy and therapists, that industry is evolving as much. And I know that the reality TV shows are also helping with that because you always see them on there talking to somebody. Y'all love somebody. You know? Me too. Because, you know, I was just talking about her yesterday. I was watching her show, and it's like just to see that healing pour out of those ladies. You know, these therapists and stuff are trained to get you where you need to be and how to get that stuff up and out. So I just kind of want to put that plug in. I don't know if Teandra does private therapy sessions. She'll tell you more about that later as we get in, but we're gonna go ahead and dive into this M.A.D campaign round 3. So what is the M.A.D campaign? You're always talking about the M.A.D campaign. What is the M.A.D campaign? I'm glad you asked someone to say what the M.A.D campaign is. I launched the M.A.D campaign because for people like that need that push, that inspiration, that encouragement, because the truth is most of us know what to do. Some of us even know how to do it. I think we just lack the motivation that we need to do it. And so that's what made me launch the M.A.D campaign, because it's not always as hard as you think it is to start something, to launch something. So whatever it is, whatever that it is that you want to do, it all starts with a decision. And so that's why I launched the campaign, because you just have to make a decision. Once you do that, it's just amazing. Oh, excuse me, I beat my tongue. It's amazing, like the things that open up for you just because you made a decision. And it's not Mickey Mouse magic that's pour this in and it comes out, but it's just like there's no stopping a made up mind from doing something. And I believe God designed us that way to say, get your mind in line with what you're trying to do, and then the doors will open up for you. Because you know, when we have a made up mind that we going somewhere doing something, there's very little things that can stop us. Be honest. If you want to go buy something and you know that's not in your budget, you know, if that's already in your mind, you want to buy that dress, I don't care what you got to do, your mind gonna say, your mind is gonna be like, girl, you know, you can stay an hour late at work. Your mind, to me, is like things start to conspire and work in your favor to get you towards that thing that you made up your mind to do. And so on today's episode, one of the things that we're going to talk about is not only making up your mind for you, but putting yourself in a position where you are leading your family and guiding them and teaching your children how to grow up and make a decision. There are so many young millionaires, okay? I love that, because that tells me there was, first of all, some good parenting there, some good strategies and structures and things like that have went on even in young children. And so that's what the M.A.D campaign is. It's just simply that, making a decision that whatever that dream is, whatever that product is, whatever that, if your goal is to get in shape, be more healthy, it just all starts with a decision. Wouldn't you agree, Teandra?
I completely agree. It starts with a decision. It starts with, I feel like the first decision is the decision to give your life to God, because knowing Him, you start to know yourself, and your life starts to open up to who you really are, who you were created to be, and you walk that out, and as you do that, then other things start to open. So those decisions are so important.
Right. So it just is, like I said before, the main thing I want everyone to take from the M.A.D campaign is that it's not as hard as you think.
Yeah.
That dream is just waiting on you. It's waiting for you to make up your mind that I'm here, I'm waiting.
Right.
They just want you to start taking those steps.
Just walk, right?
Just take baby steps. Like, y'all don't know me. Like I said, this is the T-Velly show you're tuned into, for those of you that are watching. And this for me is one of I don't want to say like my first step, because I've taken other steps, but it's another step in the direction of what I want to go into. Normally, I'm not really a camera person that much, and I say that every episode because I want you to get that. Because you don't know me, I'm normally a behind the scenes person. I'm normally the person that's going to handle the lights or the this or the that, but my journey kind of shifted me in another direction, and I had to get out of my comfort zone. But I made up my mind to yield to it. I was like, I'm not going to fight it, because if this puzzle piece is here and it's telling me, okay, you said that you want to do this, and I'm telling you to get to that, you have to do this. So am I going to sit there and be like, well, how long am I going to say that? I don't like being in front of the camera, and I don't want to do this.
Just do it.
How long am I going to sit there?
And when you do it, God's right there to help you. To shine in it.
So it's about making the decision. So I said all that because I want to give some of you all a few moments to actually log on, and I'm going to flip it up just to see if we have any comments. I'm going to slide the screen over. And also, while we're talking, if you have any questions for Dr. Teandra, I'm sure she'll be happy to, take a few questions here. But
talk to us.
Yes, and talk to us. We want to hear your feedback and stuff like that. So anyway, I'm gonna definitely let Teandra share whatever is on her heart. Excuse me. Like I said, I put out there that want to talk about different strategies to build those championship families, because you can do that not only for you, but for your children. So I'm going to let the doctor speak, and whatever is on her heart, go for it.
I mean, I guess the first thing that was on my heart was just that, and so we're going to talk about families in a minute, but it starts with yourself, because who you are and your personal relationship with God and your personal journey and you walking out your purpose affects your family and everybody around you. And so I just encourage everyone to make a decision. I like that March Madness. Like my family, my husband and my dad and my son and my daughter have been like all in front of the TV watching the games and stuff. And so the M.A.D campaign, March Madness, I love it. But I want to encourage you to make a decision to be who God has called you to be, and to do that thing. Like, don't get stuck in cycles of, get up, go to work, do this, do this. No, what is it that God has called you to be? And don't be afraid to step out and do that. Even if you can't do it as often as you'd like, do it. So, for example, in my own life, I have a full-time job, 8 to 4, basically every day. I have 4 kids. So I take care of them, but writing a book is just in me. It's always been in me. And I just had to make the decision that, because it's not going to just happen. It doesn't flow naturally into my life to make the decision to walk out my plan. And so I had to make the decision that every day or every weekend or whenever, at different times in my life, there were different amounts of time that I gave to it, but I had to make the decision that on a regular basis I'm going to give this amount of time and energy towards that bigger purpose, towards that bigger dream, towards that thing that doesn't necessarily fit into my daily life. I hope one day that it does, but
because you may have been a little comfortable in your schedule,
right?
Like with you working and having your kids, but you had to kind of adjust some things here and there to fit that time.
Exactly. And you have to make sacrifices.
That's right.
So I remember there was a time when I was working on my PhD that I did not see any movie that came out. Like there was work, school, kids, and that is it. And you go through those seasons and you just do it because that's the vision that God has put in your life. And I think and in that, I think it's important to know that he's right there with you every step of the way. So you don't have to do anything on your own.
Right.
People ask me, like, how did you do all of these things? Well, I didn't do it by myself. Like, every day, God gave me what I needed for that day, and he gave me the people that I needed to support me to do, what it is that he's called me to do.
But that's why I said, like, a lot of times we think it's hard, but just because you made that decision, it's like God was waiting on you to say, look, I want you to write a book.
Yeah.
But you have to decide that, because now that you've decided that, I can help you and show you.
Right.
It's not like you just said, made up your mind and then
he don't take the pen and start writing for me.
Yeah,
take the computer and start writing for me. I have to do it.
Your will has to be involved with what you're doing. But she made up her mind. Something inside of me is telling me to write a book. So now her insides of her mind and her creativity goes to work to say, how can I make that happen? And then from there, it opens the door for God to give her the creativity, the knowledge, the wisdom, the people that she needs to show her. That's where the wisdom kicks in to say, I know that you have this going on, but let me show you how simple it is. Move this around over here. Maybe Brian could take the kids here while you do that. It is possible.
Yes.
But you have to decide first, right?
You gotta make that decision.
Okay, let's kill this. Well, my husband doesn't want to help me. That you have to get out of that mentality, because you have to make that decision. Just make that decision, and you will be surprised how God will move on their heart.
Right.
To say, maybe before they weren't so compliant to help you, but now, because you made a decision, because before you made an excuse. Right. Come on, don't miss that. Before it was an excuse, but now you're not allowing and I'm not talking about Brian. We just saying what she said. I'm just that's her husband. So I'm just throwing that out there. But before, maybe that was an excuse. Why she wouldn't have been able to write the book, but now, because she's decided, I don't care if such whoever doesn't help me, this book is going to get done. And now God has moved on their heart. Right. Hey, I'll take the kids. You see, that's how it works once you make that decision. Teandra back the ball.
You're so funny. Yes. Okay. And so, in another part, and so this is kind of like new for me. So I went to ministry school, and when I went to Baylor University for a year and went through some stuff, and then decided to go to ministry school because I knew my life was going to spend giving to other people. And I felt like I needed to be whole and complete and within myself and know who I was and know what I believed and who I believed in. And so I went to ministry school for 2 years, and then came back to Houston and kind of start going the professional route.
Okay.
And have got a bunch of degrees professionally and stuff, and so I feel like now at this time of my life is where I'm combining. So a lot of the presentations that I've done over the past years have been completely professional, where I didn't really talk about. So now I feel like I'm in a place where I'm combining who I am as a minister and who I am professionally into what I give to people. And so this is one of the first avenues for me to do that. So I'm really excited about that.
We launched a lot of firsts here because this is the first for me too. So that's awesome. I'm going to have to go on her resume now. My first appearance was on the T. They're going to be like, the T what? Keep watching. You'll see. I know. But that's good. So you what made you kind of want to be a therapist? What do you have a passion for families?
I have a passion for seeing families healthy and happy, and I think personally in my life, I think I went through some difficult times within my family, and I felt like that people didn't really know how to help us, and didn't, and what we were going through was so intense that people didn't. It was kind of they were kind of keeping a distance because they didn't know what to do to help us, and I made a decision that I wanted to know as much as I could. I just wanted to know a lot about people and about their experiences, and then I wanted to be that person to stand with those families through those difficult times, and
so it kind of made you have a passion. I noticed that a lot too. I say that to people a lot. Sometimes the hardship that you go through are really if you do it the right way, they can shape you into being. You can let it break you, or you can use those things to create a solution.
Yeah.
And so she did that. She was like, hey, there's a need here.
Yeah.
We're not getting what we need. There are other families out there like my families.
Yes.
I want to be a part of the solution. I love it.
Exactly.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah, God gives beauty for ashes. And so I think that, the difficult things that I went through at different times have made me more compassionate and have propelled me towards my purpose.
And it'll do that if, like I said, if you let it, or we spend a lot of times being bitter and singing the problem, and stuff, and all the time that God inside is saying, hey, no, come on, get up, let's create something here. And I think too, a lot of times, we're going to talk about money on next week's show, but that's where some of our wealth too is missing, because we let that thing break us instead of building us. And so, you know what I mean?
It's just a matter of like knowing who you are. It makes me, you saying that makes me think back to when I first met my husband. I used to drive, I had a Saturn that my dad had given me. Do they even make Saturns anymore?
They do. I actually have a Saturn truck that I'm a little broke on the side of the road right now, but they used to make it.
Okay, so it was my dad had given me, and it was my grandpa's car when he was on. So anyway, the Saturn was beautiful, but I had driven it for a while, and it got like a little, like to where like the liner was like coming down, and like when it was
time to get a new car.
When it would this is what it would rain, and like I think the sunroof was messed up, and so it would rain in the car, like it was real bad.
Oh no!
But when I met my husband, I didn't like. He was like, "Ooh, that's what you drive." But for me, like I always saw myself as like who I am now, a professional. Like I didn't have much money back then. My car was a little raggedy, but it meant absolutely nothing to me because of who I was kind of like a vision in my heart, and I knew that. That's who I was, and so I wasn't worried about the outward things about money or cars or anything, because I knew that I was wealthy in my spirit and in my heart, and I just walked it out.
Like I'm in this saddle, but this is the BMW in my mind.
It's just a little rain. Like we just gotta put the plastic over. It's okay. It's gonna be all right. It wasn't a big deal to me.
I'm really you a mess. I'm really glad that you brought that up, because that's something too that in preparing for the M.A.D campaign, some of the things that I was meditating on also. You have to see yourself from the inside.
Yes.
That right there, and you cannot make a proper decision as long as you're looking at your circumstances and like I said before, your excuses for why you can't. It's like on my journey, oh my God, I have just been learning so much, because as I make decisions, to keep going, to keep walking, to taking my steps, there are things that are coming out of me, and I'm like, Lord, where did this come from? Did you not see my life? But it's like, I don't think he's worried about that, because he knows what's in there. He just needed me to make a decision to let the greatness inside of me push those outside forces that are trying to come against me. I think taking those steps forward. But which in comes some of the therapy, because if you're in a messed up situation,
it's nothing
you
wrong
can't
with getting
always
help.
do that, right?
There's nothing wrong with getting help. I mean,
how do you think that affects like our children? Just say, for those of us that have children and we're trying to make a decision, but we're clinging on to things that have affected us in the past.
Gosh. Who you are is who your children will become.
Wow.
And so if you want your child to be smart, successful, peaceful, joyous, then you have to make this a decision that you're going to make those changes in your own life to get there, because things are caught more than they're taught. And so if how you're living your life is different than what you're saying out of your mouth, your kids are going to see more of how you're living your life. And so if you want your kids, like I meet a lot of parents, and the majority of parents want great things for their kids. And so if you want great things for your kids, it's so important that you create greatness in your own life, and that you walk out your purpose, and that you live to your fullest potential, because who you are is who you're teaching them to be.
That's true. I mean, excuse me, and it says that in the word that we're supposed to train them up in the way that they should go, but a lot of times we don't have the training ourselves. I think that's the problem. Like you know, and I'm not just talking about education, which education is a major part of it. But a lot of habits and stuff, we're not developed in the habits that we need to be developed in to live a successful life. And like Dr. Teandra said, our children are watching. I love that she said that. What did you say? Who you are, your children become. Wow, and like that's a lot of responsibility, you know, and we owe it to them to be that example, to show them that excuse me, life, you don't have to just get up, go to work, come home, pay bills. There's more, and now that's what you choose to do. If that's your vision to get,
you know what, BJ, you remember my Saturn? I love you too, Brian.
If you open your phone, I'll read your comments while you're talking. We forgot about that because sometimes we just, you know, kind of be talking and
sorry. I just completely interrupted you.
Oh, that's okay. This is the T-Velly show, and that's what we do. We keep it real. We don't. You're at home here.
Okay,
so.
There we go.
Okay, so that way I can read your comments while you talk. Oh yeah, he said he remember. Oh, your husband said you looked great in your Saturn.
Oh, thank you, Brian.
That is so sweet, Brian. That's right. That's right. Like I said, I think she saw herself maybe driving the BMW. So
it was a BMW. I was all good in my world. He said I needed a new car, and I didn't know why. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. You know, we just were talking about just training up your children, and you're not having the training in, like we said before, because I'm making sure that I highlight on the therapy. Not that I'm trying to push y'all into a therapy session, but I just think sometimes, you know, you can't move forward. You can't make a decision if your mind is all what happened to me when I was a child, or my mom didn't do this, or my dad didn't do that. Can you kind of talk to me about the importance of that?
You have to move through the pain. You have to. So many people try to numb the pain through alcohol, through drugs, through sex, through you know, just partying, whatever. I mean, people have their different ways of numbing the pain, but you have to move through it, and that's what can happen in therapy, is that we give you a place to actually face it and process it, and when you move through it, then it takes the sting away. And so that, you know, and that's how the pain turns into beauty, because you allow it to change you in a positive way instead of keeping you hostage in a negative way. And I think a lot of people walk around with shame over maybe their negative choices. And I think it's so important to know that God forgives you, like that you are beautiful in His sight. And what people have to learn to do is to forgive themselves and start to see themselves as beautiful and as clean and as worthy. And so that those are the kind of things that people have to face, and don't run away from the issues or try to forget them. Face it, deal with it, and then it'll lose its sting so that it can't hurt you as much anymore.
And I imagine too, you know, once you get the help that you need to get to learn how to activate that joy inside of you, imagine what that will do for your family, because I can imagine just as on the opposite side, it affecting your kids as well. If you're always sad and depressed, and you know your kids are just, you know, what kind of life is that for your children to always see you just moping? And you don't want that, because now what you're doing, you're passing it on to that generation, because this is what they grow up seeing, you know. And I really want to see everybody, America, the nation, I want to see us get past that, because God just created us for so much more. And it's like, you are not your circumstance. You don't have to be
every human being was born with beauty, with purpose, with a destiny, with a reason for being here, with something great to accomplish. And I think it's so important that people start to realize that, and that they teach that to their children, because every day I see kids who you know, don't have the best environment necessarily at home, but it's because they live with parents who are in pain in a lot of ways. And so and I think that as parents, if parents would deal with their pain and would grow and shine in the people that they were created to be, they would help that in children, because children are they're innocent, and they're gifted, and they learn how to be other things, and a lot of times, you know. And so I think that, you know, it's so important for us to teach them how to
I like
shine.
how you said too that they're watching and they learn from, how did you say they learn from what we do?
Yeah. So it's caught, like,
well, yeah, it's caught.
Who we are, and who we are is who we're teaching our kids to be. And so in my book, like what the book is, so I'll talk about that for
what's the name of the book?
It's called Purpose-Filled Parenting. It's not out yet, so don't start Googling it. I'm still in the editing phase with the publisher. Like, it's completely my fault. Like, I've been editing for a while now, just because I just wanted to keep it better.
You just wanted to make sure you got all the nuggets. Like, have I emptied everything here? I totally get it.
And so it's not really the content, though. Like, it's just like, it's kind of the content. Anyway, so it'll be out soon this year. That's the goal.
And she's gonna come back. So.
Yes, at some point this year. But so what I did, so in my doctoral research, I interviewed parents about the things that influenced the people that they became, and then in turn what they thought it took to raise successful kids. And so the book is it emerged from those interviews, and it's the combination of what I learned from them, and also my experiences as a marriage and family therapist, and what I learned from the families that I see. And then also my own experiences is a lot about me, and as a parent, as a daughter. And so it's broken up into 7 chapters. The first one is called, it's about the parenting relationship, and it's about the significance of building a strong parent-child relationship, about the idea that, just like you have a couple relationship and you have to put time and positive experiences into that, you have to do the same thing with your child, and everything else kind of stems out of that relationship with your child.
That's really good, because I mentioned that before too on another episode of the M.A.D campaign. Like, you can't sit your children in front of the TV and expect them to be great.
No.
Because especially nowadays with some of these cartoons, they are just as borderline as the TV shows. You have to watch it. I was watching with my niece, and he said something, and I turned around and I looked, I said, what did he say? She's like, give me the remote, because I already know. What the things that go in, they have to come out.
Exactly. Exactly.
So that's good. You're having a relationship. You can take your children to the movies. You don't always have to drop them off with friends.
Spending time with
family time, bro. How important is family time?
Important. And I think that as parents, you get busy with cooking and cleaning and working. But I think it's important to understand that right up there with all those things that you have to do, you have to spend time with your kids. If you have little kids, get on the floor and play with them. If you have big kids, lay across the bed, talk to them about their day. Like, you have to make time to spend with your kids, because you want to stay an active part of their life. And the way that you do that is through spending time with them, learning who they are, learning what they're experiencing, and sharing with them who you are. And then just through fun experiences. You also want the family to be a fun, happy place, so that kids are looking for fun and excitement and happiness in other places.
That's good. That's really good.
Yes. So being a part of your family should mean, that kids should have stuff to look forward to. Whatever you guys like, my family, we like sports, and so we'll go to the park and play volleyball and basketball and kickball and run around and go for bike rides and runs, and those are the kind of things that we also like to watch movies and stuff. So just figuring out what that is for your family. What do y'all like to do, and to make the time, create the time to do it, because it's important. It's just as important as feeding them and taking them.
That's so. I hope y'all are picking up these nuggets. I don't have kids, but I've raised everybody else's child and sent them home. That's kind of the way I operate. But these are good things to think about, because I have to hold myself accountable. I used to be like, my niece would come to me when I'm writing, and she'd be like, well, what are you doing? And I'm like, go away, I'm busy, I'm focused. And then one day I just got a check about that. It was like, you pushed her away, but she needs attention. So what is she's gonna do? She's either gonna go watch some TV show that has no value. She's gonna look around on social media somewhere, even though we tell them not to do that. But sometimes they're kids, and so I just really had to stop that. And so I have a t-shirt line, and I started bringing her on and teaching her how to design. Like, you want to help me to come up with some sayings? Because I realized that as my role in her life, I need to make sure that I don't want her to grow up and see her doing things and feel like I did not do my part as her aunt. You know what I mean? Like, I can only imagine how parents feel, because that is a big responsibility to train up a kid and say, I want to, even though they're going to do their things, they're going to learn and hit bumps just like we did, but just to know that solid foundation is there.
Yes.
Like, my pastor always teach us also, like, when you're planning your family vacations and things for the household, involve your children, because you teach them at an early age that you are somebody, you know, and you have a voice. And I am so big on confidence. So when you have confidence, it just empowers you that you can do anything.
That's chapter 2, girl.
Oh, see how we flow? Is that chapter 2?
Self-esteem.
Okay, go ahead. That's what you do. Chapter 2. Okay, go ahead.
Chapter 2 is self-esteem. Because that's everything. You want your kids to feel good about themselves. You want to make sure that the words that you're saying to them are words that uplift them. Because what we say about our kids is what they start to believe about themselves. What we say to them, if we're calling them smart, kind, gifted, talented, anointed, and that's what they believe about themselves. If we call them stupid, lazy, dumb, liar, thief, that's what they start to believe about themselves. And so it's so important that the words that we use to describe them are words that lift them up, words that propel them towards their destinies. And
that's really good.
Yeah, and so it's so important that we build their self-esteem. And kind of part of that is, like, of course you have to acknowledge, like, when they make bad choices, like if they lied or if they stole, but don't call them a liar. Don't call them a thief. Because if you are something, then you don't have the opportunity to be something else. But if you are an honest person who told a lie, then the next time you can make the choice to tell the truth. And so separating those negative behaviors from who they are as people is so important.
That is such a great nugget. I really hope that parents are getting this, because that's where it is. When I see parents, like out in the store one day, this lady, she just cursed her son so bad. Man, everything in me. I just wanted to tell her, will you just not do that? That just makes me feel sad, because it makes me think, what kind of child, what is this child going to grow up to do when somebody makes them mad? They're going to curse them out because that's what you did to them. And I'm like, man, all she had to do was say, you know, please. They tease me a lot, because when I'm correcting my nephew, I said, can you please not do that? And they be like, please. You know, old school people don't do that. They like, ain't no please, you know, don't do that. But I don't want to come across like, stand and be the one to stand off him. Don't you do? I don't want to yell at him. I want to correct him out of love. I want to say, that's not nice. Don't do that, okay? And he say, okay. You know, it just makes me feel like he get it, even though he's probably going to do it again because he's 2. But at least I know that he knows that I love him, and I'm correcting him from that place. So confidence, I don't want to tear his self-esteem down, you know?
And kind of that leads into chapter 3.
See, we are flowing.
I'm just saying.
Come on now. Come on.
Discipline and guiding their behavior. And so, like what you said is just so important. Like, many times we like, for us, like, kids showing respect is so important. But it's also important for us to respect them as people, for us to recognize that they're human beings with thoughts, with wills, with emotions, and to understand that discipline is about teaching them to make good choices. It's not about, like, making them make good choices in our presence. It's about teaching them the importance of making good choices from their own hearts, so that when they're away from us, they'll make good choices when nobody's watching. You know, so correcting them is not about just making them do what we've told them to do, but teaching them why it's important to be kind, why it's important to tell the truth, why it's important, you know, to not hit your brother or whatever.
That is really good. That is some healthy parenting, you know what I mean? And when you have healthy parenting, it creates healthy children mentally, and they're able to make those decisions and say, okay, this is what I need to do, this is what I've been trained to do at home, so I'm away from home now, I'm in a situation, I know my parents told me not to do that, but because they've taught me there's consequences, you know, and it's the choice is still up to them, but either way, it's like a healthy growing to me.
Yeah.
Versus them being like, you know, well, you just gonna grow up and go to jail and be, you know, it just creates a, well, what's the point of even trying
That's
if I'm just
got a fear, you know?
Yeah, like if I'm gonna go to jail.
To learn to act out of love.
Yeah, that it's just, it's a big difference. It matters. If you talk to people, you can pretty much kind of get a glimpse of how they were raised, kind of how they are now. You know, if they come from a home of uproar and just a lot of dysfunction, most of the time, unless they get that help, counseling, therapy, prayer, Jesus up on high, Lord,
There's an intervention.
their life is,
you repeat those cycles.
Yeah, I don't know too many people that just come from a lot of discomfort and just, you know, grow out of it. It affects you. It does. You can't say that it affects your relationships with people and other things like that. So it's, you know, hey, train up your children, teach them. So what else does this book talk about?
The next chapter is on education, and it's just on the idea that like we are our kids' biggest educator, and like we can't just drop them off at school and say teach them. Like we teach them every day, and making choices about your kids' education that best line up with who they are and what they need, and just kind of empowering parents to take charge of the idea that what our kids learn is ultimately in our hands. And so that's chapter 1, 2, 3, 4. The next chapter is on connection, chapter 5. And it's about the idea that we need to understand that who we are is not, and the decisions that we make aren't just about us, that we're connected to other people. So that's actually one of my favorite chapters, because I talk about my parents and my grandparents and my great grandparents and how who they were leads into who I am. And just the legacies the decisions that we're making right now, the sacrifices that we're making, the leaps that we're making to follow our dreams and not just settle for, you know, what's in front of us. Those things are going to affect generations behind us, you know? Wow. And so just the importance of legacy and the importance of helping your kids recognize that they're a part of a legacy, and that what they do, you know, they have a culture, they have a family, they have all of those things contribute to who they are, and all of their choices affect themselves, that legacy, and those that come after them. So just helping kids feel connected.
I think it'll help to upgrade the quality of life that they live if they are on their mind, like, you know, I have to protect my legacy. You know what I mean? What kind of mind frame versus I have to get up and I have to go to work because that's, and I'm not picking on people that go, well, look, we work, that's what we do. But I'm saying when you raise your kids with that mind frame of you are a part of something great. You know, they can walk, because the world is cold out there. You know, we don't know the things that we're adults, and so we deal with stuff, but sometimes we don't think about what our kids deal with at school. And that goes back to chapter 2, which is spending time with your kids, because one thing I noticed when my niece come home, sometimes I can tell when she's had an off day. I can tell the way she walks in the door. You know, if she don't come in and give me that hey, or she's like, hey, I'm like, today was hard for her.
What happened?
But if I'm like all busy off into my world and I'm not connected to her,
she's left to deal with that all on her own.
Exactly. And then I go to picking her brain. So she don't want to tell me too much, because I'm like, do I need to call the school? She's like, Niche, you know, I don't want to talk about what happened. Then finally it's like, okay, well, one of my teachers was a little hard on me, and I'm able to kind of talk to her. I need to break it down. What do you mean hard? Like, you know, I'm not a parent, but I'm just overprotective sometimes, you know. What you mean hard? Did she say something?
Kids need people to love them.
I know. But I was really able to talk her through that, and come to find out the teacher was really correcting her. She just didn't like the way that she did it. And I'm like, hey, she's not your family, so she's not going to do you like I do. She's not going to tell you, now look. She's going to be like, look, I have class after class. I don't have time to sit here and babysit and hold your hand. And to me, that's how the world is. They're not going to hold your hand and pacify you all the time. Even at work on a 9 to 5, they're going to be like, look, you know your job. I don't come in my office every 5 minutes. So, you know, you got to prepare them for that. You know, people are mean, you know, which is why I think, you know, with the suicide rate and the bullying, you know, and stuff like that, and I'm not blaming any parents. Oh my God, no, I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying there's a lot of that, and I think we have to just love on our kids.
Exactly. I always say that home should be a safe place. Like when you go out into the world, you can get beaten up and bruised a little bit, but home should be that place where you're nurtured back to health, where
That's
you're
good.
loved, you're told it's okay, you're okay, we're okay, you know, and it's going to be okay, you know. And so home should be that safe place.
I just love that. I think we need that. I love that home should be your safe place. It just should. You should be able to go home and, you know, still put your head on mama's chest, say, today I hurt, you know.
Yes.
Today was rough.
Right.
And we shouldn't be, men have this thing where they're like, man up, you know.
Yeah.
My brother does that sometimes, and I'll be like, I know it's maybe a men code thing. I don't know, but I'm a woman, and then I just be like, not all the time, you know.
Right.
Sometimes just hug them and say, hey, it's all right, you know.
Right.
I talk about my niece a lot because she's like my daughter, but I tell her that all the time, like, who loves you? I make her say that God loves me, I love myself, and my family loves me.
I love that.
And I tell her that because I don't want her to feel, and a lot of times she'll be like, well, such was at school and they were picking on this girl, and you know, I didn't like that. I said, well, did they pick on you? Well, I don't care, you know, God loves me, I love me. I'm like, yes, I'm doing a good job, I'm doing a good job. That's important.
What they say.
I have to tell myself that, you know. I'm just, because the world can be mean sometimes. They do all kind of stuff. Everybody is not always friendly and lovely, and some people like what you want.
Yeah.
You know, and this, you know, you just have to build yourself up that way.
Yes,
but
definitely.
I'm loving it. This building championship families.
Yes.
Do you have any keys for any tips maybe that you can give the viewers about how to bring that family in and do a family makeover? And you know, maybe a family is saying, hey, you know, and we're not even going to talk about maybe the husband and wife are fighting, but I'm just throwing out a scenario. Maybe there's a lot of bickering in the home, and a family, a mom and a dad has decided we're going to try to pull that in and make over our family. What are some tips that they can do to just kind of jumpstart that after they make a decision that they're going to do it? Because this is the MAD campaign.
I know that's right. Okay, so the first thing is like with husbands and wives, you talk about couples, like there was something that brought y'all together. Go do that. Like when my husband and I, when we first met, we worked out together. That's what we did. He was a manager at 24 Hour Fitness, and I was in there working out. And so we would go play basketball, and we would work out, and there was the movies right there. We go. So do those things that you did when you first met. Do those things that you were doing when y'all fell in love, and do it on purpose, because time doesn't allow for it all the time. And so have fun. Purposely build fun into your life. And then when you talk about the family, it's the same thing. Like purposely build fun into your family. Like if y'all been fighting all day, it might not just automatically happen, and so you have to purposely say, okay, let's go do this, and this is the thing that we've always enjoyed as a family, let's go do it. And when you talk about like addressing those deeper issues, I'm an advocate for therapy. Like I think there's nothing wrong. I feel like it's a great idea actually to go to see a therapist, a couples therapist, a family therapist, and tell them what's going on and get support as you delve into those deeper things that might be going on in the families and those family relationships. Okay. Because it's worth it. It's worth the fight. It's worth doing whatever you can do to hold on to, because that family is just the foundation for everything else. And if that family unit isn't right and isn't safe and isn't happy, then those, where is that safe place for the kids? That's
good. So those are some good tips. So you would first recommend the mom and dad kind of pulling each other in and first maybe becoming a team. Definitely. Right? Because when you're in agreement, you can do so much more. There's so much power in agreement, like versus us trying to be, have our own agenda and attacking each other. You don't have no power because you're not in agreement. Whatever that agreement is, sometimes we fight so hard to this what I want, this what I want, but what is the agreement for the home? Does the dad make the decisions, the husband, and I know sometimes women, we're strong-minded, we're like, girl, I don't want to go that way, that's dumb to do that, like, right, we have a bad habit, because, we're know-it-alls. I'm just telling you that that's not the way to go. But I've learned also that even though you might have the answer, sometimes you got to take one for the team.
People figure it out on their own sometimes. sit there and just pray for them, and when they come
don't
around,
call them stupid. Like, I like that. Like, this is the dumbest thing in the world. I have been in that situation, so I'm like, this is dumb. Why are we even doing this? But the bigger picture says that the agreement is more important. So even if it's the dumbest thing, I guess we're gonna be in agreement to do this. It's just about seeing the bigger picture, even in your family, right?
Yes,
Wouldn't you say that, like, seeing the bigger picture?
Definitely.
So get the mom and dad together in agreement, and then pull that team in. Create things like family game night.
Yes, do
right?
That's fun. Have fun, dance in the living room, whatever it is that y'all enjoy doing, do it. But because it's just such a big thing to adding happiness and joy in the family.
It just makes them better people. I think you will see the dynamics of your family change. Just say, we're gonna put these electronics down. Okay, so we like gadgets. Let's pull out our phone and do a Facebook Live.
Yeah, that's fun. Right? So like one time, me and my daughters, we wrote a song and we recorded it and put it, and that was fun. But another thing is, like, I think it's important to put the gadgets away too. So like when we eat dinner, like all that stuff has to go to the side, and we're gonna talk. And one thing that we do every day is we talk about the rose and the thorn of our day. And so we talk about the best thing that happened to us and the worst thing that happened, and everybody talks about it, and I tell them the rose and thorn of my day. And it's just a way for us all to stay connected. It's a way for them to know that at some point I'm gonna get to share this with my family, and my family is gonna wrap their arms around me.
It kind of makes you like, when I'm doing a day, I'm gonna share this when we get to the table.
Exactly, because sometimes you'll be like, how was your day? And they would say good, and then it's over. Like, that's the end of the conversation.
Oh God, yes.
But if they know, like, I'm gonna have to share the rose and thorn of my day, then as they're going throughout their day, they're gonna, that's my rose right there. And, that's my thorn. And when they have those thorns, it gives them a sense of comfort, kind of knowing this is my thorn, but later on I'm gonna get to share this with my family, and I'm not gonna have to experience this by myself. They're gonna all be a part of this, and they're going to all support me through this. So it gives you comfort in that moment. Yes, having a family therapy session every night at dinner.
You have to write everybody a check. Like, I'm the therapist here. Everybody has to pay me. Pull out your lunch money.
You're so silly.
That is so cool, though. It creates an environment for them to get that off their chest,
definitely,
and not to go to bed with that. You don't want them going to school the next day with that. I'm fresh. That teacher did that yesterday, but I talked to my family.
I'm good with that. That's in the past. I'm waking up and
I love
another day.
That is so cool. That should be in your book. It's in
my book.
When is this book coming out?
Y'all don't have to get the book. When I know when the book is coming out, I'll let you.
Yes, and we're gonna have her come back on and talk about that, because that's important. So for those of you that are kind of tuning, just now kind of coming in, this will be available on the replay also. But I'm Tanisha R. Atkins. I'm known as T-Velly. This is the T-Velly Show. And I'm chatting with Dr. Teandra today. And we basically just been talking about building championship families. And some of the things we've said, I don't have children, but I do have children in a sense. But I love it. I even picked up some nuggets like, stay connected to your children, and get to know them and give them a voice. Teach them at an early age that to have confidence. Your voice matters, and don't shoot their ideas down and say, oh, that's silly. It could just be I'm going to tell you this. Oof, Lord, and then we're going to wrap up. But my niece came to me and she had this idea. She wanted to do an outside tent, whatever, camping thing. And so I'm like, a camping thing, because I don't do outside camping. And so she had made her list of all the shopping things. She went online and she picked out, this is what we're going to have. We can all get t-shirts. And so when she came to me, pay attention to this story. When she came to me, she had a list all down. I looked at it and I was like, who wants to camp outside? I was so negative. I was like, it's going to be snakes out there, mosquitoes. How y'all going to do this and that? And I could just feel her spirit just. I felt so bad. And the sad part is I have been praying to God how to motivate her lately, because it seemed like she doesn't get it. At that time, she was younger. It seemed like she wasn't getting excited about volleyball or this or that. And I'm like, Lord, I just need a way to motivate her to get up and want to do something. And here she kids and came to me with her list that she went online, got the prices, went on Walmart.com, wrote down everything, had her budget, and what did I do? I shot her down. I got such a check that day. Oh, I went and I apologized to her. I said, she was like, I don't even want to do it anymore. I was like, no, we're doing it. I was like, I'm so sorry.
Yes.
And then she started telling me, you do that to me all the time, you know? So sometimes you can unconsciously do it. I felt so bad. And now when she come, I'm like, whatever I'm doing, let me put it down. What is it you want to do? Okay, you want to go? We're going to do it, whatever. So just, wanted to share that because you do have to we have to teach them that you matter.
Yes.
And you have a voice. Yes. So.
And I love that because we're not perfect as parents. Right. We're not perfect as people. But when we're willing to open ourselves up and apologize and, and build from there and grow from there, like being an ever growing, ever learning person. I mean, that's what it's all about, and teaching our kids to be like that as well. I think is so important. So I love that story.
Yes, I think sometimes we us older people, 30, 40, sometimes we come from a generation that have said, you do it because I said so, or you don't do it because I said so. And we feel like I'm the adult, I pay the bills, and we don't always have to give children the explanation. But I think sometimes you do. I think you owe them that. Don't just say, well, we're not doing that. Why? Because these kids today will question, well, why?
Well, and that's a way of teaching them, too. Because they have to make their own decisions, and they're now and in the future. And so teaching them about that decision-making process is important, and that's part of our role as parents. So we should answer that question of why.
But it's just so many parents are like, you do it because I said so. Don't. And sometimes, I'm not saying, you got to go there with your kids.
There's a moment.
Because they will why you like, but you said, don't tell me what I said in this moment. Right now, we'll discuss it. Like, kids are so smart. These doggone gadgets. I mean, I have a little baby cousin. She's like 9 months old. And she takes her mom's phone. And I'm like, you are not doing this. There's no way that you're doing this.
Well, I just want to talk about the last couple of chapters.
Go ahead.
So the other one is values, and just the idea that we have to understand, like, what is it that, and we kind of talked about this earlier, what do we want to instill in our kids, and then we have to live that out because they learn the things that we live out in front of them.
Okay.
And then the last one is just about different topics that I've experienced in therapy, like, if you and your family are going through grief, if you and your family are going through a divorce, through a separation, if you're a blended family. So it just kind of gives different, if somebody in the family is dealing with substance abuse, it gives different tips for helping kids through those different life events that can happen.
That sounds like this. Tell them the name of the book again.
Purpose-Filled Parenting.
Purpose-Filled Parenting. And what is your goal with this book? What are you hoping parents take away from the book?
I want it to be just kind of giving you those foundational principles because, like we talked about earlier, if you've never learned anything different, then you just do what was done with you. And I think that it's our responsibility to build upon what was done with us and for that legacy to continue to get better and better. And I feel like this is just a good foundational educational tool that you can use. The other part of it is that it helps you to explore those things that you experienced growing up. There's places like where you can write down different things that you experienced so that you can have a thought process about, what you want to do with your kids. So it's kind of like parenting your kids with purpose in mind, not just going through the motions of parenting, but to learn how you want to specifically, purposefully mold your children into the human beings that you hope that they will become one day.
Awesome. So it's a 2-for-1 really, because it's working on you, and then it's giving you techniques. Because we have to get wisdom from somewhere. And that's the other thing too. There's some generations, we don't like to read, people. And there are people, I was one of those people, like when I'm done with school, I'm done. I'm not picking up the book. But I just had to have a come to Jesus meeting with myself because now here I am saying, I want to be a multi-million-dollar business entrepreneur. Okay, well guess what? There are business owners, multi-million-dollar that have written books with the information of what to do and what not to do.
Right.
So, Let's think about that here. Now, 9 times out of 10, you're not gonna meet everybody that you know. I want to meet this person. I want to be Oprah's best friend. So for some people that can be arranged. But I'm just saying,
learn from the wisdom that they've put out there.
Yeah,
learn from the research.
Right. Pick up the book. In other words, is the short version. I'm saying.
Purpose-filled parenting.
So Teandra has 4 beautiful children, and for those of you that follow her on her Facebook page, I was just telling her how well cared for that they look. They just look happy. They don't, in the picture they're like cheese, and I know it's not just because mommy and daddy said.
You can see the joy emanating from their spirit.
They're like, my parents are great. I love my life. So I love that. So I definitely hope that y'all picked up some tips today. This has been like one of the greatest episodes ever. Because me and Teandra, we always talk like that, and so we just have y'all. We just invited y'all into what we do. But I want to tell you that Roderick Smith said, "Hey Teandra."
What's up, Rod?
And he's
a great therapist, by the way, Roderick Smith. He's a male therapist, a black male therapist at that, and he's really, really wonderful. He has his own practice, like in the Greens Point area. So.
Well, awesome. He said that's a powerful message that we should encourage them to ask questions. It just gives them a voice, And some of us didn't have that because we were always told children are what seen and not heard. A lot of times some old stuff. But like I said, this has been a great episode. I hope that y'all learned. Does anybody have any questions for Teandra? Teandra, do you take clients? How is your profession set up? Would you like to give out your contact information if you do that, or you want them to reach you on Facebook? How do you?
I think that people can definitely reach out to me on Facebook. Okay. So I work for a big community health agency, and what I do is I kind of director of a school-based therapy program. So I oversee a program in which we have therapists inside of schools, and so I don't see a lot of clients on my own. Like, I don't have a private practice, and I see very little clients outside of who I see inside of the school system. Okay. But what I do want to do and do love to do is to speak, and so if there's opportunities at different schools or churches, I would love to share about parenting or, about whatever. That's just a big part of where I want to go. And what I want to do is with writing and speaking is a big part of it.
For more platforms to kind of and she has a lot of wisdom. This book, I'm already ready. Is there pre-orders available?
Girl, let you know ready as soon as it is.
I love to read, and like I said, I don't have kids, but just knowledge like that. I'm a writer, and so maybe I want to write about a parent like that has those tips. So that's why I read different books like that, because it helps me to develop my characters when I'm writing. So for those that say, well, I don't have kids, you still have no excuses. Get the book when it comes out.
Well, because there's probably, you have nieces and nephews, and that's another part of it. Is kids need positive people to help mold them and make them, and they need positive people in their life. And it doesn't, if you're a coach, a choir director, whatever, I think that you can get great aunt and uncle, a grandparent, you can get great information from the book that can help you to help the kids that you influence in whatever way.
Well, yeah, because I'm sure we all encounter children from time to time somewhere. And even if you just, hey, I picked up that book by Dr.Teandra about purposeful living.
Let somebody else with it.
That's a good thing too. Let somebody else. Some parents that you see in the store hollering at their kids, say, here you go.
Oh, see, I don't know if that was
that was really shady. I did say that. But I just want to thank you all so much. I want to thank you, Teandra, for being here. It was such a great show. Is that Cheryl?
Cherie.
Said hi.
That's one of my best friends in high school.
Thank you all for watching the show. I want to thank Teandra. I appreciate her spending her Sunday afternoon with me and dropping some nuggets for us about building these championship families. This is round 3 of the M.A.D campaign. And M.A.D stands for make a decision. And so you have to make a decision in your family to lead your family into that great legacy. And it just starts with a decision. You don't have to have a lot of money. Teandra said they have, what is it that y'all do at the table?
Oh, we talk about our roles.
Yes.
We talk about our roles in our door, like the best and worst thing that happened to us that day. While we're eating dinner, all the electronics are put to the side and we talk. And that's what it's about. And just finding stuff that you guys enjoy doing as a family and ways to keep that communication and that connection going.
You can turn on the radio. Y'all can dance around the living room. There's no excuses. The M.A.D campaign is here to eliminate every excuse. And if you say, well, I don't know how to do that, Teandra has a book coming out. She's going to help you with that. You have the internet. You can Google. Just pull your children in a room and talk to them. How is your day going? For 10 minutes a day, you have to start somewhere. But it starts with a made-up mind. Make that decision that you are going to be the one to change your generation. Regardless of whatever happened in your childhood, you set the tone and you grab your children and you make a decision that my family, we are going to live the best life. We're going to be who God created us to be. And I'm going to be a great part of that. I'm going to get myself together. Give me some counseling if I'm having emotional breakdown. No more excuses. Make the decision. Right, Doc? Do you have anything in closing that you want to say to families? Do you have anything else you would like to say?
I don't know, just that I believe in every one of you. I believe that you have a purpose, you have a destiny, and that your kids are amazing. And so just every day, let them know how amazing they are. You know, sometimes it's just as simple as smiling at them every time they walk into a room, you know, affirming their presence, affirming that who they are is special. That's just so important. So just simple things like that. Thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you for having me. And I'm really passionate about sharing
awesome
things that I've learned.
And be on the lookout. You can connect with Teandra on Facebook. She's on there as Teandra Gordon, and I also I will post a link to her page for those of you that may want to ask her a question in private. I'm sure she doesn't mind answering a few questions. Now, she's a doctor, so don't be bombarding my inbox like that, okay? Because she got her degree, and I'm going to have to take on the role as her manager, and I'm going to have to write you an invoice. But thank you all so much. This has been a great, great show. It'll be available on the replay soon, so watch it, share it with somebody who have kids, and let them know you can grab a hold of your children without cursing them out, but by pouring into them so that they can pour out and be amazing adults. So we're out. We're going to sign off. Tell them bye, Teandra. Thank you all for watching. I'll be back next Sunday at 4 p.m. Also, we're going to talk about making a decision about your finances. That's the last thing I'm going to say. You cannot go for that big dream if all your money is tied up in the debt. So we're going to talk about that next week. I have a specialist. She's another finance guru coming on, and she's going to dig into some of these budgets that we go into the store and buy these 25 chickens because they on sale and put them in the freezer, and then we need some gas money. So we're going to talk about this. She's coming for y'all. Thank y'all. I'm Tanisha R. Atkins, T-Velly. This is the T-Velly Show, and I'm out. Tell them bye, y'all.